So today we are going to be discussing the top 5 pros and cons of living in Lubbock. Let's start off with the first pro, right?
Start off on a good note.
So the first pro is, and we've discussed this in a couple other videos before, but Lubbock has a small town feel, but it is a big town. So a comparable town to Lubbock would be Midland or Odessa.
Akron, Ohio. It's a good one too. 250,000 people, give or take.
Okay, or oh yeah, Akron.
It's a thing.
Or Akron, Ohio, like Jaden just said. So it's comparable in size and feel. In Texas, you get a lot of people who are just very kind and genuine. Not a lot of the rat race going on here, so it's a different feel and vibe, but it's still a big town. You got a lot of shops and restaurants and malls and movie theaters and XYZ. So that is the first pro of Lubbock, that it is a big, small town. So now my man Jaden over here is gonna do the first con of living in Lubbock.
First con is a lot of wind, which overall we'll have 30 days that are dusty, windy. The other 335 are usually pretty good. So,
quick math.
yeah, it's quick math.
Yeah.
Quick maths.
Quick maths.
No, but overall, we do have a couple dusty days. You'll get some wind blowing in your face, but on the grand scheme of things, that's the worst thing that we have. It's not that bad.
Right, and we haven't had a tornado here in, I believe, 60 years?
1970.
1970, so about 40. So the dust isn't, I mean, the wind isn't bad enough to have a tornado in 40 years. So it's really, it must not be that bad.
Can't be that bad.
Yeah.
I think it's 50.
Is it 50?
I was gonna say like 5 days.
1970 is a real stat though, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Don't
like
even mention that Lubbock got decimated by a tornado in the 70s and we're due for another.
Who hasn't been decimated by a tornado?
Pro number 2, next to zero traffic, which if you're in Dallas, Austin, you're leaving 2 hours early to go to work, you are wasting time.
You are.
From my doorstep to my office chair, I'm 11 minutes away. So can't beat that.
You can't. There's this big thing, there's like a highway, it's called the Loop, and it essentially wraps around Lubbock. And wherever you are in Lubbock, whether you live in the Loop or outside the Loop, you can get on and just circle your way around to your destination, and you can take the exit. It's just a big circle, and what?
So you mean like a loop?
Like a loop. It's so redundant.
Like a loop, it is a circle.
Yeah, if you couldn't, yes, I guess it's pretty self-explanatory that it's a circle because it is a loop, but you can get on, but you can get on it and get anywhere in Lubbock in about 10 to 15 minutes. Is that fair?
Very fair.
That's fair to say.
Loop 289.
Yes, Loop 289, don't miss it. So the next con this is con number 2. And it kind of goes off the windy thing that we had discussed earlier, but Lubbock is a very flat place. It's known for cotton farming and ranching. A lot of West Texas is known for farming and ranching. And Lubbock's a great place to farm cotton because it's very flat, which when the fields are not plowed,
Not sure if it has anything to do with the flatness as to.
just let me see where I'm I gotta go for it. So when the fields are not plowed, there's a lot of dirt, okay? And when the wind comes in, it's like a 1-2 punch. The wind will just pick up the dirt and it'll just get flung places. So that is one con, that when we do have those windy days, there can be a substantial amount of dirt, which is pretty rough, but it's okay because it's really not all that bad.
You done a lot of farming?
Yeah. Yeah, I done some farming.
You knew the technicals
Down Slayton. Yeah. So now Jaden is gonna nail con number 3.
Pro number 3.
Excuse me. So now Jaden's gonna hit on pro number 3, numero tres.
Okay, so pro number 3 is the Lubbock economy. So we are based in small businesses that is just really strengthening. You'll see that Lubbock is about 5 hours from any major city in any direction, which we are the hub for this area, which kind of strengthens that economy, especially when we run on small business.
Yeah, so a big part of the economy here is Texas Tech University. So there's a giant university here called Texas Tech. If you're not familiar with it, we are a really pretty popular school. We got a good basketball team, a decent football team, and a really good chess team actually, and meat judging, believe it or not.
Meat judging is
meat judging. We actually won national awards for that. So if you think about it, every year, I mean, I think 40,000 students enroll in Tech. So there's every fall and every spring, you get 40,000 new citizens here that are going to be going to restaurants and going to see movies and having fun. So that's really good for the Lubbock economy. And then it kind of slows down in the summer, which is great because it gives people who are like families and stuff that are going to be buying houses, gives them more of an opportunity to be more, I guess, do family-oriented things.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Tech is here actually takes us into con number 3, which is if you don't like Texas Tech or Lubbock Christian University is another big university here, you might not like Lubbock.
May not.
There's a lot of people who live here who didn't go to Tech and they like Lubbock just fine. However, Lubbock is somewhat of a college town, but it's still big. But Tech is a main industry of Lubbock. So if you don't like Texas Tech, you're not going to like Saturdays because the football games get crazy, the basketball games get crazy, the chess games get crazy. The meat judging gets crazy. It all just gets crazy because people are die-hard Tech fans. I mean, they bleed crimson and black in Lubbock. So just be aware of that. If you're moving here, you're moving to a college town.
Okay, so pro number 4 is going to be our cost of living, which, to sum it up, Lubbock you can make a really great living out here with a lower cost of living than the national average. We've actually done another video that we can link below that we go into more depth on that.
Yeah, so quick statistic that we touched on, it's 40% cheaper to live in Lubbock, and that's just housing. Houses in Lubbock cost 40% less than they do across the entire United States, which is freaking nuts. I mean, you can snag deals here for living in a very nice small town like we've already discussed.
So in addition to, like Andrew said, the housing being 40% cheaper on a national average, you're going to save a ton of money. Like we mentioned in the other pros of just travel alone, you're not going to be burning 2 extra hours of gas just on your commute to work. So little areas like this, your cost of living is going to be substantially lower than if you're in a metroplex area.
So for con number 4, and this is kind of a little bit of a pro and a con, but because Lubbock's growing at such a fast rate, especially south, there is a lot of construction. So getting around like neighborhoods, they're tearing up roads, putting in new ones, there's a lot of noise. Often homes are getting built like crazy, so neighborhoods aren't always as quiet as they probably should be. So that is probably a pretty down thing about living here right now, but it's temporary.
But it's temporary. And if the biggest thing we deal with is dust, wind, and a little construction, we're all right.
So now we are at the 5th and final pro, and this is probably my favorite pro of all of them. And it sounds kind of artsy and a little strange that we're saying this, but the 5th pro is that Lubbock has some of the most beautiful sunsets that I've ever seen. Because it is so flat and there's not a ton of skyscrapers or anything like that, you can see the sky for miles. And when it gets going, it gets going.
Pop it.
We're talking all sorts of colors. Pinks, you got your oranges, you got your magenta. Yeah. You got all the perfect colors of a beautiful, fantastic sunset. We're gonna include some here. Jaden is gonna top us off here with the 5th and final con.
Okay, 5th con. It took us a second to kind of think of it because we love it here.
We do.
We're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like I said, you're 5 hours from Dallas, 5-ish from Austin. You go Albuquerque, you go skiing, about 5 hours. So, yes, we are a little bit of a trek away from these bigger cities, but I mean, depending on who you're talking to, that is a pro as well. So, a little bit of distance to get to somewhere with the Metroplex area, but I like the quiet out here.
I like it too.
I'll stay here.
Me too.
See you soon.
I'm
just gonna